Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Matt here, and we back with another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. So, we are coming off of UFC North Carolina. North Carolina. That's what we coming off of. That's what went down Saturday night. We're in the main event, heavyweight action. Jelton Almeida goes out there and submits Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Your boy picked that one. That's what that is. We all should have saw that one coming. No disrespect to Biggie Boy, Jairzinho, but we already know what was going on there. We know why the UFC set that fight up. But while I'm speaking about picks real quick, let me just say something, you know what I'm saying? Your boy hit a little lick on that money over the weekend betting on DraftKings. By the way, DraftKings, if you're listening, holla at your boy. Holla at your boy. Give me a little sponsorship, you know what I'm saying? Give me a little, cut me off a little, break me off a little bit of scratch. You know what I'm saying? DraftKings, anybody. If somebody works for DraftKings or whatever, please holla at your boy, man. I'm on your app. I'm on your app every weekend betting. Now, I live in Louisville, Kentucky. So what I had to do last weekend, I was betting on your fantasy app. You know what I'm saying? I was on your fantasy sports app. But I got the other one too, because I just go across the bridge in Indiana and I can place whatever bets I want. But anyway, DraftKings, if you're listening, I appreciate you guys. Your boy hit a nice lick on the fights because I picked everyone on point. And your boy hit a nice little lick over the weekend. So I appreciate you. DraftKings, if you're listening, holla at your boy, man. Give me a sponsorship. You know what I'm saying? Hit me up, man. I need a little help. Anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand. Jelton Almeida goes out there and submits Jairzinho Rozenstruik. So there wasn't really a whole lot to this fight. I mean, this is one of those fights where it's a waiting game. You're essentially waiting for Jairzinho to get it to the ground and submit the guy. That's pretty much what it is. So after seeing that fight, I have a couple of takes. Not so much about that fight, but about the UFC and Almeida. The way that I see it, the UFC has definitely recognized the talent that is there in Jelton Almeida. So now when you look on the other side of the argument, so to speak, John Jones is out here talking like, after he faces Stipe with a win, that he's possibly going to retire. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. It's hard to see John in there with the up-and-coming guys in heavyweight still trying to defend his title. But, more than likely, it looks like after, a fight against Stipe that John Jones might be out. So the UFC is out here looking for the next heavyweight guy. So, there's Sergey Pavlovich. I mean, that's a no-win situation, so to speak, with the UFC. Actually, I should say that's a winning situation. He's a tough guy. He's a big guy. He looks good getting off the bus. You know what I'm saying? He knocks a lot of guys out. That's his preference, to go in there and throw them lunch boxes and lay you out. So definitely I could see the UFC being happy about him going into that title picture. The only thing that when I got mixed up with my words, I was thinking could be a loss for them is the language deficit between him and, a lot of their other heavyweights. Now, they're not in any better of a situation if Almeida was to become the champion. I'm just spitballing here. I'm just, shooting the S. I'm trying to make 5 cents off this video so we won't curse. So we're just playing around. In my opinion, the UFC is looking at Sergey Pavlovich to be the next champion. They're looking at Jelton Almeida, if you want to say it like John Anik. They're looking at him to be one of the next champions. I think they're kind of done with Curtis Blades. I mean, Curtis Blades is going to stay at the top, but they're kind of done with him. Another person that they're looking at as far as being the world champion, you got to go with your boy Tommy Aspinall. Tommy Aspinall, I mean, you have the resurgence of MMA in the UK. It's huge right now. Leon Edwards, welterweight champion. all types of guys on the come up. It's huge right now. So, they can't go wrong with him. Outside of that, I mean, it's kind of a toss up, I think they're, I mean, it's kind of a toss up. I think those are the three standout guys that the company would be looking at that, we could do a lot with one of these three guys as our champion. I would say out of those three, you got to go with Tommy Aspinall at the top as far as who they would want, the UFC being they, would want to be the heavyweight champion. Of course, he speaks good English. Everyone can understand him. Again, resurgence in the UK. It would be huge if he became their heavyweight champion, but it's going to be key for the rest of this year as we see what happens with Jon Jones and going into early next year. I know Tommy Aspinall's got a fight, I think, in the summertime, against Tybura. So we're gonna see, where they're gonna go. I mean, you can never count out Tai Tuivasa. He's always there. I'm not sure they're looking at him like, championship material, but the guy's a fan favorite. And anytime you got a fan favorite walking around with one of your titles, that's big business. So I mean, he could kind of be the fourth guy. I wouldn't rank him as high, but they could definitely do a lot with him. So, it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out the rest of this year and early next year. There's almost going to be a race for that heavyweight championship if Jon Jones retires. If Jon Jones stays in there, we'll see how it all plays out because they're going to be very particular about who they feed to Jon Jones. Because you never know. You want to put him in there against a guy that's going to challenge him. And if that guy beats Jon, that guy gets the rub. He's the new guy. This guy beat Jon Jones. He beat the GOAT. What are y'all talking about? This is the man. But if Jon Jones just goes in there and beats all your top contenders and then he just decides to retire or gets arrested or whatever the case, that's a way different story. So they got to be very particular, got to be very careful about all those things. But outstanding, I wouldn't say it's an outstanding main event, but we kind of saw again, what's going to happen when Almeida steps in there with the majority of the heavyweights. Because, while a lot of them can grapple, that wrestling grapple mix, that BJJ mix of Almeida, it's going to be hard to beat at heavyweight, especially if Jon's going to end up retiring. Let's jump over to Anthony Smith catches a L against Johnny Walker. Now, this fight right here, I like Anthony Smith. He's a good dude, family man, respectable dude. He should be commended that he didn't take that fake win over Jon Jones, even though he could have when he took that knee to the face when he was on the ground. He's a stand-up dude. But I'm going to be honest, going into this fight, I did not see what people were seeing or picking when people were choosing Anthony Smith. To me, Anthony Smith has been cooked for over a year now. I know he's coming off injury and everything, but he just hasn't had that same intensity. He hasn't looked the same. And even though he's had a win or two since that Glover fight, what I saw in that Glover fight, I felt like that broke him. I felt like, he's a strong, tough guy, but I feel like he just wasn't ever going to compete the same after that. And he's had a couple of wins since then, but he has never looked like the Anthony Smith prior to all of that. So I don't know what everybody was looking at or picking when people were choosing Anthony Smith going into this fight or saying it was going to be close. So I know it did go, all the way 3 rounds decision. But let's be honest. It went 3 rounds because Johnny Walker was literally very tentative, taking his time. He did not want to make a mistake. I believe he understood that this was a big fight that he needed to win name-wise in that division. And he didn't want to make any Johnny Walker mistakes, do something, slip, fall, tear his whole shoulder off, or, get that whole one of those horrible comical KO knockouts that Johnny Walker's received in the past where he's flailing. Just like my face when I did that. But bro, I don't know what anybody was seeing when they was picking Anthony Smith to win, man. Anthony Smith wasn't gonna win that fight. And that's no disrespect to this dude. If he ever sees this video, man, I liked you and your whole come up to go fight John and after fighting John. So it's no disrespect to him, but I'm just calling a spade a spade. I did not see why so many people thought Anthony Smith was going to go in there and win this. Outside of Johnny Walker making a mistake and getting one of his comical knockout, or him comically getting knocked out, I should say, I didn't see that happening. So, another thing, man, UFC, y'all grimy. Y'all grimy. Because Anthony Smith's out here working the desk for you all, being an analyst and everything. He had his gloves off. It looked pretty clear to me that he was probably going to retire. And then DC didn't even go talk to the man. The UFC didn't even go talk to the man. Like, nobody in the truck was like, hey, Daniel, looks like he's going to retire. Be sure to talk to him after. Now, unless they were going to, and Anthony Smith thought against it and just left the cage, that's different. But it looked like your boy was getting ready to retire there. And DC was just like, nah, bruh, we talking to Johnny Walker right now. All right? So I don't know what happened with that, but, shout out to Anthony Smith. I don't know if he's going to stick around or if he's on his way out. The pride in Nebraska right there. I'm not sure what he's going to end up doing, but, shout out to that dude. Tough fight. Johnny Walker went out there, did his thing, showing that as long as he can stay calm, he's a competent fighter. I think the magic in Johnny Walker is him being chaotic and doing all this wild and crazy stuff, but we haven't seen that Johnny Walker in a while. So, that's kind of where that's at. But he definitely showed as long as he stays calm and collected as a game plan, he can be a competent fighter. I don't know if he can be, a star like he was going to be before when he used to be wild and chaotic. But still, it was good to see him go out there and get a win. Outside of that, we got to take a little bit of time. Shout out to Matt Brown, the legend Matt Brown. Goes out there, knocks out Court McGee, walk-off KO. Straight, caught him with that right hand, kind of went to the side, You see that? You see how quick that was? You see that? Court McGee threw that shot. Matt slipped it, came back with that right hand, laid him out, walk-off KO, similar to Mark Hunt style, you know what I'm saying? Laid the dude out, walked away, It was good to see, Matt Brown go out there and get that win. He has a podcast with Damon Martin. And I mean, I'm used to listening to Matt Brown on this podcast each week. And you can tell he's kind of in that weird space because he's still a skilled fighter. He's still out there. He's got the knowledge. He's got his own gym now. He's probably going to eventually transition into being a coach. But you can tell he still wants it. He still wants to go out there and compete. But it's just a matter of, if Father Time is going to allow him to go out there and do it. So it was good to see him go out there and get a big win. I think that's kind of his wheelhouse. Put him in there against other legends or other guys that are a little bit in the later stages of their career and let him go out there and compete. Don't give him any of these young guys that's going to come out there 22, 23, 28, go out there and do him dirty and leave him bloody in the cage, you know what I'm saying? Now, you need to give him a legend, give him somebody that's a little bit later, a little bit more seasoned, if you know what I'm saying, in their career. Send him out there, let him do his thing. But shout out to Matt Brown. That dude is a treasure. He's a legend. He's out there. He's still, and I saw he had a few little tweets against Captain Snow. Conor McGregor, you know what I'm saying, that they was tweeting back and forth because Conor's talking about he wants that knockout record that Matt Brown just tied of Derek Lewis's. And Matt Brown's like, fight me for it. That's what I'm talking about. And quite honestly, at this stage, at 170 pounds, at welterweight, and with all the snowfall that's going on around Conor McGregor, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I don't know. I mean, you know what I'm saying it's the biggest thing in the world. But, let an old legend go in there and fight Conor McGregor. I'm not saying he'd go in there and beat Conor, but let him go in there. I'd like to see it. Who cares? At this point, if Conor's going to do anything, you just want to see him go in there and fight anybody. Who cares? Sign that old man from the bar that he punched at one day. Put him in the octagon. Let's see what it is then, Connor. What it is then. But anyway, nevertheless, that's what it was. UFC North Carolina. That was pretty cool. Another shout out to Anthony Smith for coming out there to that Petey Pablo, North Carolina. Take your shirt off, you know what I'm saying? It was good because, I was saying that on my last video, and probably a lot of y'all didn't know what I was talking about because you're not seasoned. But Anthony Smith is our seasoned. He knew. So, nevertheless, that was a good fight, good card. Those are my little takeaways. I appreciate you guys joining me for another video on Matter of Fact MMA, and I'll see you next time. Peace.